Good evening, everybody. Distinguished Honoree Stefan de Mistura, Father Lufrani, Chairman Salsa Libello, Vice Chair Portia Prebis, Honorable Trustees, Vice President Merva, distinguished faculty, Class of 2021 and Class of 2020, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this year's John Cabot University commencement on this beautiful spring day in Rome. We will begin by listening to the Ecumenical Invocation by Father Riccardo Lufrani, chaplain of Catholic students at John Cabot University.
Winners and losers, what a Darwinian way to understand human relations. Those most fit are destined to thrive and reproduce. For the others, well, at best, a painful survival. Are plants and animals behaving in this way? And even if they do, should we take their struggling way of being as the model for our human social life? Is the law of the jungle the reality of our existence? Do we have to be strong and always performing to have a life worth living? What is the problem with weakness? The pandemic is causing death and disruption the world over, and it seems that it will not be leaving us anytime soon. Our life feels so precarious, fragile, weak. But what is the problem with weakness? As humans, we are the horizon where nature gives lives to history. We are the builders of our world. We are free, and so we are also responsible for the kind of world we build. Building the world is such a huge task for us. Even it seems impossible to build the world we would like to live in. We are weak. But again, what is the problem with weakness? We'll all experience some sort of weakness. It seems to be a common trait of existence, an unavoidable limitation to our desire to thrive, our desire for happiness. And yet, within the global weakness of the pandemic that we are experiencing, there is a widespread and deep awakening to the reality of human existence, especially in the consciousness that we are all interconnected, maybe in a far deeper way than we can even imagine. Weakness is not a problem at all. Weakness is the privileged place for a new start, a new world built on love. The consciousness of being one is growing. We are rethinking the reality, rebuilding the world we want, discovering new ways to build it. It is an exciting time, a time of awakening, a time for engaging, time to sacrifice, time to transfigure weakness into what is destined to be, the place where we come together and give birth to a new world. In our small but inspiring university, you, young, promising and enlightened generation, have received some valuable elements to bring forth the change we want, the change the world needs. Do not fear weakness, because it is in weakness that we discover how to build a better world.
We thank Father Lufrani. Dear classes of 2021 and 2020, it is with great pride, sincere emotion, and joy that we celebrate you and congratulate you for your achievement on this special day that marks your graduation from John Cabot University. This commencement is different from all the ones that have come before, and probably from the ones which will follow, the result of the present public health restrictions by which we must abide. But it will certainly be a most memorable one. Please be seated, sorry. Fruit of our dedication to our graduates and our willingness to devise unprecedented solutions to honor them all. We wish it to be an auspicious symbol of return to more normal times and of reopening to a freer, more hopeful life. It epitomizes the strength and resilience of our entire community in these very difficult times. The inventiveness, creative motivation, constant care of health and safety, attention to details, and dedication of our outstanding faculty and staff, qualities which made it possible for John Cabot University to turn on a dime and move to remote education in March 2020, and to remain open, thanks also to the maturity and collaboration of our students during this very difficult and demanding year, while continuing to provide the excellent education our university is known for worldwide. A community that has written a glorious page of its history. I will not mention names, the list would be too long, but we all know who the heroes of this amazing achievement are, and I'm sure we are all grateful to them. But this commencement is first and foremost a celebration of you, class of 2021 and 2020, who are completing your studies in these hard times. Although this pandemic has proven far riskier health-wise for older people, the impact on the lives of young men and women have been far-reaching. You entered this university with many plans and dreams that appeared well-charted and reachable, but suddenly you saw your way of life disappear under your very eyes. Your very freedom of movement, your daily routines, have been completely transformed, showing you in far too many ways how fragile our world can be. Your concern for the health of your loved ones was added to the realization and disbelief of how much was quickly disappearing. Normal school routines and social activities quickly becoming a thing of the past. You're a generation that has had to endure a period of great difficulty and uncertainty, unprecedented in recent decades, a period which has often been compared to a war, with normal life coming to a stop and with the tragic loss of so many lives. But you continue to work hard, to remain engaged, preserving your creativity, curiosity, and energy. You continue to contribute to the community, to volunteer and to study, and work diligently towards your goals. Your impressive resilience defines you. Make it the rock you stand upon in looking at the horizon of your life ahead. The unexpected sense of human fragility that COVID-19 has produced in all of us should not blind us to the enormous acceleration of the past year in the transformation of our societies, of our economies, and foremost, our scientific progress. The process of digitalization and the trends in technological changes, which had been forecasted for the next decade, have in many cases taken place in just 1 year. And many of our ingrained habits have been transformed. Our workplaces are being revolutionized with the arrival of robotics and artificial intelligence, and the very fabric of our economy is being transmuted by digital advances. Human genius has produced a viable vaccine in just a few months, while in the recent past it would have taken decades. Vaccines that have been just this week shown to be, and I quote, ridiculously effective, and hold the promise in the coming months to free us from this scourge and allow humanity to resume, albeit far more slowly than we would hope, its normal way of life. Your generation will inherit a brave new world and the responsibility to chart the way to a better future for humanity. The Extraordinary experiences of these past 2 years can give you the strength and opportunity to build something truly innovative and remarkable, with a new appreciation of the value of ordinary daily life and a commitment to a better, cleaner, and more peaceful world. You're stepping into a world that needs not only your skills, but also your resilience and compassion. A world which will benefit from your realization that your endurance and ability to confront life obstacles and unexpected challenges is much greater than you thought. As you evaluate your options and make your plans, you should take courage from what you have shown and achieved these past few years and from the education you have received. As you leave your alma mater and move on to graduate school and the job market, you should do so with confidence and goodwill, assured by the realization that you're graduating from a fine, growing university with a unique mix of features that make it a great place for intellectual growth. John Cabot University's American liberal arts tradition, with its emphasis on critical thinking and elegance of expression, the international nature of our close-knit community, the dedication of our outstanding faculty, the rich and excellent support for your studies, your well-being, your career aspirations provided by our many offices and institutes, the never-ending beauty, inspiration, and sophistication of the incredible city that surrounds us. They are all giving you amazing tools to craft a rewarding, impactful, meaningful life. But most of all, the resilience and commitment you have shown these past years should be your compass, guiding you in your journey into the future. In this age, which has recently been called of infinite browsing mode, dedication and persistence are the essential ingredients of your fulfillment. Going to the heart of the matter, using your voice only after accurate preparation, will serve you well in the years to come. You will build upon this strong foundation as you apply the skills and wisdom you have learned at JCU. In our usual commencements, right now, you would be surrounded by your proud families. To our regret, this year, for obvious reasons, that is not, unfortunately impossible. But they are far and yet so very close, watching now with great pride and anticipation during this most special moment of your life. Whether you are here in presence or online, the pride is the same. The cherished memory is the same. Let us turn our thoughts and gratitude to our families, first and foremost, but also to the professors who made this year so rewarding and special, and the classmates who have become your best friends and will remain your joy and will accompany you in your life journey. Dear classes of 2021 and 2020, you're graduating from a young and strong university with a dynamic present and an ambitious future. Take strength from the realization that you reach an important milestone that shows you capable of patience, hard work, and persistence. We are proud to see you spread into all corners of the world, but we will keep you in our hearts. And John Cabot University will always be your home, a place to which you may always return, and a place that I hope, and I'm sure, you will never forget. Class of 2021 and class of 2020, on behalf of all those present here and those attending by remote today, and with great affection and pride, I congratulate you on your great achievement, and I wish you all the best of luck and a happy and fulfilling life. Ad Maiora. Thank you. I'm very pleased and honored to present the chair of John Cabot University's Board of Trustees, Sal Salibello, from whom we will now hear.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the John Cabot University Board of Trustees, I would like to congratulate the classes of 2020 and 2021. We wish we could have been with you in person at commencement to express how proud we are of all of you. What a year and a half it has been. The challenges and uncertainties resulting from global pandemic affected you individually, your families, the university, the community, your country, and the world. Despite these extraordinary circumstances, you persevered and completed your studies. I hope these experiences made you a stronger and more resilient person. You are graduating with a degree from a unique American university in Rome and are now equipped with an excellent education and the skills to follow your dreams through further education or building a career. You have no limitations on what you can achieve. Each of you will have your own journey, and at its foundation is your John Cabot University education along with your JCU gladiator spirit. Lots to be proud of. I also would like to congratulate President Pavoncello, the JCU faculty, staff, and community as a whole for their dedication in keeping the university open and safe for both in-person and online education during the pandemic crisis. You stood strong and made sure that students continued to learn. The future of JCU is promising after having surpassed likely one of the most difficult moments in the history of the school. We have fantastic professors, staff, and an amazing group of administrators who truly have the students' needs and their ultimate success at heart. Congratulations, class of 2020 and 2021. Buona fortuna a tutti voi.
It is a distinct pleasure for me today to welcome and honor this year's commencement speaker, Special Envoy Stefan de Mistura. Honorable Stefan de Mistura, born in Sweden in 1947, was the Special Envoy for Syria of the United Nations Secretary General from July 2014 to December 2018. Prior to this assignment, he served as Special Representative of the Secretary General in Iraq from 2007 to 2009, and in Afghanistan from 2010 to 2011. From 2012 to 2014, the Honorable de Mistura was Italy's Deputy Foreign Minister. Throughout a career of over 4 decades with United Nations agencies, he served in numerous conflict zones, directing complex relief operations, food distributions, and vaccination campaigns. In particular, Mr. de Mistura was posted in Sudan, Ethiopia, Albania, Afghanistan, Iraq, Bosnia, and Somalia. He also held senior political and humanitarian assignments in Lebanon and Iraq, and served as Deputy Executive Director of the World Food Program. He has been awarded the Ordine della Gran Croce of the Italian Republic and the Légion d'Honneur for the French Republic. Fluent in 7 languages, he is a Swedish and Italian national. Today, on this special occasion, he is here to speak to us and to you. Classes of 2021, class of 2020. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Stefan de Mistura.
Thank you, President Pavoncello, for these kind words. Great to be here. I really wanted to be here today in person because I've been feeling how difficult it must have been, all this remote lessons, teaching, and period. I was, like everyone here, one of you many years ago. And I remember the emotion of this moment. So let me say one or two words and then give you one or two examples. The first one, I really didn't want to. I don't know whether President Pavoncello knows it, but I didn't want to be a diplomat. I wanted to be a fireman. That was my dream as a child. And then I wanted to become a medical doctor, actually. And then my father told me, well, since you speak many languages, can't you try to be instead a doctor of countries? And that's exactly what I did. And to a certain degree, also fireman, because I volunteered always in emergency areas and in conflict environment. But like every one of you, and you will notice it, one way or the other, sooner or later, you will have either an event or a person or a book or something that will inspire you and give you a trigger and help you in what will be the next steps. Because there are a lot of doubts, there are a lot of questions that you can ask yourself, what am I going to do now that I have got this degree? In my case, it was in Cyprus. I was 18, and that was the trigger which then gave me a direction which type of studies to go. I was 18 and happily thinking to do perhaps medicine. But then I volunteered to go with WFP, World Food Program of the UN, to Cyprus. You must know, and you will be facing this, the chicken and the egg syndrome, which is basically what will happen after you have had your degree. They will tell you, yes, I think I will recruit you, but you know what? You don't have enough experience. So my answer, would that be your answer? Yeah, thank you very much. But how on earth can I get experience if you don't give me a job so I can actually get experience enough to get a job? That's the chicken and egg syndrome. And the way, and it was even at my time, by the way, and you will still face it. So I invite you to make a omelette out of it, which is basically what I did. To break that syndrome, I volunteered. And I went to Cyprus, accompanying a UN delegation. And Cyprus was and is divided in two, Turkish and Greek. And there is a green line separating the two sides. And we were just walking, I will never forget. We were walking in that green line, on the green line. I was just taking notes like a young volunteer would do about the assessment of food needs for World Food Program of the communities. And suddenly in front of me, down there, a young boy, 8, 9, 10 years old, playing football, suddenly is hit by a sniper, someone up there. I heard just a little noise. It was not a big noise, but the child collapsed, a bullet in his neck, dead. I'd never seen in my life someone dying, and certainly not killed, and not a child. The feeling of outrage that I felt, health if you want, productive or proactive, but outrage, marked all my life. I decided then to actually volunteer in my professional life to try to make life difficult for those who kill civilians, and volunteer in every single different military conflict so that civilians, if they cannot be saved, at least will be helped. If the war cannot be stopped, at least civilians will be helped by someone. It has marked my life until now. I'm 74 by now, and I was active in Syria until last year, and I'm still active. So that fire is there. Now, you may get some of that. Whatever it is, listen to it, because it does mark your life and give you that direction. Now, let me give you an example of my first mission, which could be yours, who knows. I volunteered and didn't want to take me because I was too young. But I was 23, and the experience was not enough, perhaps. So they told me, you perhaps would accept to go where no one wants to go? And the answer was obviously yes. That was Sudan, southern Sudan, civil war, north and south. And I ended up in the office of the World Food Programme in Khartoum. It's always good for you to know to volunteer or accept a job when you are number 3 out of 3 rather than number 253 out of 25,000. In other words, be in a small area where you can learn more, perhaps in the field, so that you can learn more and make more of a difference. And indeed, it was the case. The number 2 got malaria. I got it 1 year after. So suddenly they gave me a mission, a major mission, I thought. A mission which would make a difference, bringing food through barges along the Blue Nile and the Nile all the way down from Khartoum down to Juba in the south. 17 days of transport. I felt like Indiana Jones, you know. You were going on these barges full of food, bringing the food down to the south, and surrounded by hippos, some people who were not very friendly, who wanted to take the food on board. And I was carrying thousands of tins of sardines. Why? Because WFP, who had been created not more long time ago, had decided that, and had been created to actually use the food which was surplus at home and would be thrown out or thrown away. And the idea of the UN was, no, we take it, we bring it to where there is a need. And these were Norwegian sardines, Norwegian sardines. So we go down 17 days, and finally we get there. And I distributed it through little trucks and all that. And the tribes were welcoming it. And then when I went back, I discovered that only 1 tin had been opened. None had been eaten. And the people were actually in need. Children were actually starting to have kwashiorkor. So I got to them and said, why on earth are you not eating it? We came all the way down. And they told me, look, our tribe has a tradition that when they find food, they need to see the head. Because the enemies on the other side for years and generations had been actually poisoning us with pieces of food, fish or meat. We need to recognize the head, otherwise we can't eat. And all those tins had no heads. First mission, ready to save the world, getting all the way down and moving nowhere. You will face one of those frustrations, and that's when, out of desperation, I said to myself, okay, we'll try to do something different. I took a loudspeaker, which I've always had with me afterwards in missions, sat on the Land Rover, and then on the roof of the Land Rover, and then therefore I asked the whole village to come and lie down thousands of tins on the floor and said, you, the eldest and the youngest in the village, you choose 3 tins, and I will eat them in front of you. And if I come back tomorrow and I'm not dead, you will have the answer. So I did so for 7 different villages over 9 days. I had so much food and so much fish and so many proteins of excellent sardines in such a heat that I got actually sick. But people started eating. What is the message? You think you've finished your homework. Not yet. It will always be required. We should have done, I should have done, inquire about what are the tradition, the culture, the psychology, the philosophy of those people, wherever we are, our counterparts. And only then we would have known that that type of fish would have not been accepted. So lesson 1. Second episode, a little bit more elaborated, because that was just a simple mission, but the first one. Fly with me to Ethiopia now. I'm talking about all missions because I'm still operational, so I cannot talk in details, such details about recent operation, Iraq or Syria, but one day I will. And fly with me therefore to Ethiopia. We are in 1984, and the world was divided between Cold War, between North East and West, as you know, NATO and Pact of Varsavia. People were starving in Tigray and Wollo. By the way, it's current at the moment for other reasons. And the East was very happy about that happening because these were the areas where, in fact, rebels were taking place. And the West was pretty happy too, to show that, in fact, people were starving in a communist-linked country. So both sides were doing nothing. And then, luckily, the BBC came up and showed this huge crowd of people dying of hunger in the desert silently, with dignity. And we got Bob Geldof, you are too young to remember, but a song you must be familiar with, We Are the World, We Are the Children. I've been using it all the time in every of my missions because it was so emotional when they mobilized the world. And finally, we got food into Addis Ababa. But I discovered that, in fact, food was not getting to the people. The real people were on the highlands. And the highlands, people could not eat. And they had eaten so little that they were too weak to go down to the refugee camps. So the idea was, we will do airdrops. Airdrops is an operation which I trained for, which was you bomb areas with food. You don't use the parachutes. They are expensive and they fly off. So you use what the military are very good at in order to help their own commandos. They drop at a very low altitude weapons, ammunition, and food. Why can't we do it to help people? So I went to the British ambassador and said, where are you training yourself and your people? And said, in Scotland. No, you train them in Ethiopia. We will thank you publicly, you will do something very useful, and the training will be even more real. Yes, why not? Then I went to the German ambassador, and the German ambassador said, what, the Brits are doing it? No, we are much better. We do it at a lower altitude. We are much more effective. You know, we are Germans. And we can do it at 17 meters. Fine. So I had both the Brits and the Germans. Now the real question was the Soviets, the Russians, the Soviet ambassador, who didn't like all that. In a Soviet-protected country, NATO helping the people, they were supposed to be helped by Soviet Union, but they didn't have the means or the willingness. So I said, Mr. Ambassador, you have a problem. NATO is going to actually do something in your country to save the people that you are supposed to protect. If I were you, I would keep an eye on them. Give me 2 helicopters. We will then prepare the ground with sheets so that we can show the planes when they drop the food at low altitude, bags of wheat, that they will be actually dropped at the right place. He agreed. But then he said, I have one condition. This is not good, this type of NATO and Pact of Varsavia. I want a neutral name. So I said, yes, I have it. The name is Operation Saint Bernard. No, we don't want a saint. We don't believe in saints. We are not religious. No, this is a dog. It's a Swiss dog. And a Swiss dog which goes in the snow and actually helps people when they are lost in the snow. What can be more neutral than a Swiss dog? Perhaps a Swiss cat. And the answer was yes, accepted. And the operation started. Royal Air Force, German Luftwaffe, Polish helicopters, Russian pilots, food from Canada, doctors from Italy, Scandinavian countries produced the funding, Italian medical assistance, UN coordination, Operation Saint Bernard. Was the first time and the last time that NATO and the Soviet Union, Pact of Varsavia, worked together. Instead of bombing each other, were competing in bombing with food in order to reach the Ethiopian people. What is the lesson there? Creativity. Creativity, not only in business, not only in economy, not only in art, but also in diplomacy, also in mediation. Keep it in mind, dear students, because what you have learned needs to be touched by the pepper and the spice of creativity. That means taking a risk too. Now, to conclude, this, we heard it, has been 1 year and another year like no other year. You have been going through a very special period, and we heard it, and everybody is paying respect to that. Now, At the same time, you have been going through in a period which is very unusual, because it was not only COVID, which is one of the crises, but you had also at the same time the crisis of climate, and in the geopolitical environment, the environment of politics and foreign policy, you had also the starting of erosion of what we call the structure of multipolar environment. In other words, the international normal approaches. And yet, you could say, is it the right time then to leave the university, jump into this field at the time when might is right, when in fact multilateral approaches are being criticized or even ridiculized? Well, let me advise you, if I may, be persistent, be positive, be optimist. It will turn, it is turning. Every time in history we had down moments. We had the Second World War, we had the Holocaust, which was horrible. We had the Cold War, when actually we were living with the feeling that it could be a distraction of everyone. We had the period, as you know very well, where in fact the wall collapsed. And by the way, talking about the wall, let me mention one creativity, which is words. There is one member of your trustees who I don't think is here now, but I want to greet him symbolically. He's 93 today. He's been a remarkable person. He's one of your trustees. He's the one who created the formula, Ich bin eine Berliner. The formula which on the 28th of June, 1963, John Kennedy used in Berlin and made history, producing such a feeling of pride and strength to the Berliner people who were isolated at the time, that is still remembered as a turning point. You see, creativity is not only in facts, it can be also with words, and that was one special example. So let's go back to where we are now. We had been ISIS, we have been having terrorism, we have been having this Arab Springs, and then Syria, Libya, Yemen, and all those, and now COVID. But believe me, every time that humanity was close to the brink of an abyss, it turned around. And you now are ready to actually work on this and turn it around and be part of that. Dear students, I must say I've been putting myself in your place, and you belong, as you heard, to a special group, and you will always belong to a special group. Because you are the ones who, in spite of the distance, of the Zoom, of all this type of separations and the lack of capacity of doing what we all did when we had a different type of university teaching, you went through this. You are that group and will be remembered for that. So we count on you now. And you should be proud. Your parents should be proud. We are proud of you. Godspeed. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Special Envoy de Mistura. I know that our beloved Vice President Emeritus, Ambassador Frank Vreeland, would have been very happy to hear this, and will be very happy to learn that you mentioned his famous invention, Ich bin eine Berliner. Thank you very much. Honorable Stefan de Mistura, please stand. Honorable Stefan de Mistura, outstanding diplomat, former Deputy Foreign Minister, infatigable pursuer of international peace and reconciliation, a special representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations, you have served as a trusted and respected mediator in the most dangerous war-ravaged areas of the world, working incessantly for the solution of the most complex and painful conflicts of our age. Your contribution to human progress is invaluable and lasting. For all of these achievements, by the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of International Affairs, honoris causa, and grant to you all the rights and privileges that pertain therein. Congratulations. This is the international color of international affairs and the color of the Giacomo. Congratulations. Very well. It is a great honor and pleasure for me now to introduce the valedictorians for the class of 2021 and class 2020. So let's begin with Giacomo Dicaprio, with the 2021 valedictorian, who obtained his first degree in international affairs in the fall and plans to finish a second BA in business administration with a minor in legal studies next year. He's graduating this year. He didn't do very well. He's graduating this year with an outstanding GPA of 4.0, and we congratulate you, and received multiple academic awards last month. Quite impressive. Giacomo is not only a brilliant student, he is also a dedicated and articulate student leader, president of the Grassroots Environmental Club, and a member of national and international environmental associations. He has a rich story of service at JCU as orientation leader, residence assistant, and community service volunteer, always displaying great wisdom, kindness, and professional communication skills. In sum, a great asset for our communities. Ladies and gentlemen, dear classes, join me in welcoming our 2021 valedictorian, Giacomo Dicaprio. Welcome.
John Cabot University Board of Trustees, President Pavoncello, Vice President and Academic Dean Merva, distinguished guests, and distinguished professors, staff, and our families and friends. And most importantly, my fellow graduates and class of 2021, it is with immense pleasure and honor that I stand here today before you to deliver the Valedictorian Address. After living through the hardship of the past 14 months, many are the experiences that we could reflect on today on this podium, overcoming the confinement and the loneliness of our rooms in an era of social distancing, powering through yet another online lecture before calling it a day, or rejoicing at the thought of a better, closer future for all of us, what some have defined the great reset of the after-COVID-19 world. However, graduation is a liminal moment of transition in our lives, and as such, we must take stock of our experience here in Rome and remember what we must bring with us once we depart from our undergraduate career in order to discern what we want to chase in our future. Today, I will therefore share 3 things that I am confident will resonate with you. One lesson I have learned from this experience, one value I want to carry with me today, and one idea that I want to chase in my future. First, from the past 4 years, we have learned the lesson of how contagious the energy of humanity is. We have learned the quintessential importance of simple human interactions, of a coffee with a friend before running to class, of relaxing in the lemon tree courtyard before heading back to the library, of quickly waving at friends we would bump into on our way to campus, in the midst of the chaotic chatter of local cafes and the deafening passage of cars inexplicably racing through the narrow streets of Trastevere. we have learned about the importance of spontaneous drops of humanity in our days. Now that we have experienced their deprivation, the bewildering power of social distancing more than ever. Vittorio Arrigoni, a young Italian reporter who lost his life in the Gaza Strip, once wrote, "Stay human, even when around us humanity seems to be lost." One thing I have learned from John Cabot is that it is in the fleeting moment of human connection that, in between a study session and a lecture, in the comfort of a coffee and company, that lies the energy to move forward, to dive into the difficulties of life with a positive mind and a hopeful spirit, the hunger to succeed in our future endeavors. It is learning the contagious energy of humanity. Second, of these years, we will remember the value of the sense of community. Whether you have ever joined a student club, a study group, or created a lifelong bond with someone, here at JCU, you will always remember how empowering, energizing, and emboldening is the notion of being part of something bigger, such as the community we have created here in the past 4 years. Having been part of a small yet vibrant group of people will help us navigate the hardship of our future lives. Being part of the day-to-day student life will remind us of the importance of resilience to deal with the unexpected as a group. Being part of a student organization will remind us of the significance of relying on each other to overcome adversities and to share our goals and aspirations. Being part of a special bond with others will finally encourage us to sideline individualism for the sake of collective gain and to rely blindly on each other, on the companions of our journey. I remember when, during my first day at John Cabot, I was standing in line nervously, waiting to get my picture taken for my first student ID. Not knowing anyone, I was extremely reluctant to speak to or let alone approach anybody who was standing there in line under the tropical sun of the Roman summer. And then it just happened. I started talking with some of the people I have had the honor of walking alongside in this journey for the past 4 years. I cherished that moment, the trepidation of breaking the thin yet terrorizing line that stands between the reassuring sense of self and the mighty feeling of being part of a community. And it is thanks to that moment that I truly understand the words of the American adventurer Christopher McCandless, who wrote among his last thoughts, "Happiness is only real when shared." We can amplify our happiness, our accomplishments, and our success as we glance at the future ahead of us if we remember this, the powerful sense of community. And last, think about the idea you want to chase. Once you leave these chairs for this last unforgettable time as John Cabot University students, we live in a broken world, riddled with inequalities, poverty, conflict, famine, and pollution. Starting from today, you're part of the 7% of the global population that has had the privilege of being college educated. Our societies urge repairing, and our duty as part of such a privileged group is to fight for a more sustainable, equitable, and fair tomorrow. Wherever you will go lost in the meanders of postgraduate life, you will repeatedly have the opportunity to choose to create value to the lives of others through service. This opportunity could present itself at any stage of your future lives, in the choice of your next internship, in the selection of your graduate program, or in your car ride home today, after today's ceremony. Equipped with academic knowledge and youth, we, more than anybody, have the power to seize that opportunity, to choose to pursue value over self-interest. In a world where the term contagion hides the pain and suffering of millions, we need to rediscover the meaning of spreading the willingness to fight for a more equitable and prosperous planet. As we brush the prospect of new beginnings, we can and need to commit to the idea of the pursuit of value. armed with the power of humanity, the strength of community, and the commitment to adding value to the lives of others, you will have all the tools you need to succeed in the big abyss of postgraduate life. When you leave here today, celebrate your accomplishments with an eye on how you can and how you inevitably will shape our common future, our great reset, through the spirit of humanity, community, and service you have learned here in Rome at our John Cabot University. Ad Maiora, class of 2021. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giacomo, for your beautiful words. And now I would like to invite the Valedictorian 2020, Giacomo Olmo Antinori. I now introduce him. Giacomo received his BA in English Literature with minors in Communications and Creative Writing and a final GPA of 3.97. Though Giacomo originally thought to study physics at an Italian university, discovering his true vocation for cinema led him to become an award-winning actor and ultimately guided him to JCU, which he chose for its exceptional program in English literature. This allowed him to stay close to home and continuing his acting career in Italy while developing advanced skills in English reading and writing. We're very glad he found this perfect solution with John Cabot University and now have the pleasure of honoring him as our class of 2020 valedictorian. Please join me welcoming Giacomo Olmo Antinori.
Welcome. Boy, this feels strange. I wrote this a year ago. I thought I was never gonna give it. Congratulations, class of 2020 and class of 2021. My fellow graduates, it is with great pride and profound joy that I salute you on this occasion. I could not be happier to share this crucial moment with you as your valedictorian. On behalf of the graduating class of 2020, I'd like to extend my thanks to everyone at John Cabot. I want to thank every individual who works for this university. Our president, Pavoncello, our academic dean, our faculty, the librarians, the people working at the registrar's office, at the front office, in the cafeteria, student services, career services, housing, admissions, IT, finance, logistics, marketing, security, counseling, the cleaning staff, and everyone else working hard to make JCU the splendid place it is, especially those working behind the scenes. And of course, a special thanks to our Board of Trustees. Each of you has allowed us to complete our studies and enjoy this important day of celebration. Because of this, the class of 2020, and hopefully 2021 too, expresses its gratitude. Thank you. Now, graduation is always a great achievement, but perhaps this year, and the one before this, a little more. Completing this last spring semester, and the one before this, in the midst of the confusion and the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic was difficult. To rethink radically classes and university life was a tremendous and unexpected challenge for all of us. I believe I tell the truth when I say that in the past 3 months, and in fact in the past year and a half, we have all experienced fear, discouragement, and at times exhaustion. And yet, here we are. We did it, and we did it brilliantly. Therefore, I would like each of us to congratulate herself or himself for such an outstanding achievement. Let us use the difficulties we have faced as fuel for our future accomplishments. Graduation is not only an endpoint, but also a new beginning. Many of us will continue to study, perhaps in places away from Rome, and others will move on to pursue immediately a career. But if there's one thing that the pandemic has shown with an uncontestable certainty, is that we are all interconnected. Each thing that we do, say, or even think generates an effect that, no matter how slightly, reverberates in the lives of others. If on the one hand this means that a virus can spread throughout the world in a matter of weeks, it also means that what each of us does with his or her life is of tremendous importance to society as a whole. For some, this may look like a terrible responsibility, but I want to encourage you to see the interconnection we have with everyone else on this planet as the proof that even one single determined individual can change the course of history. When we realize how much we can impact reality with our choices, we can begin to see how important it is to study and work for others as well as for ourselves. We have all enjoyed the beautiful privilege of education. Let us put this gift in service of the global community that surrounds us, especially for those who did not enjoy the same privileges that we do. Let us use these things we have learned to build a truly equal, truly sustainable, and truly human world. Let us study and work not only for ourselves, but also for every other human being on this planet. Of course, this is an easy determination to make on a happy day such as this. But the truth is that we have ahead of us a period that while it promises continued personal growth, it also poses a great number of challenges. How can we make sure that the enthusiasm, the hope, and the resolve that we feel in this moment will remain with us through the rest of our lives? Searching for an answer, I came up with 3 words that express 3 concepts I would like to offer you as the basis of a promise we might make to each other. The promise to keep working on ourselves in order to become better citizens and better human beings. Please, take these 3 words as a way to express my respect for you and my desire to see each single one of you to flourish and excel in his or her own field. Now, my first word is gratitude. Gratitude is the pillar of every noble personality. I want to encourage each of us, to think about all the important things that make us feel grateful, no matter how little they are. From the love we receive from family and friends, to the sheer, simple beauty of a sunny day such as the one we were blessed with today. I believe that if we can feel grateful even for a tiny, inconsequential thing, then we can be sure not to steer away from the right path. The second word is perseverance. It is certain that along our journeys, we will have to face challenges and obstacles. Sometimes, these obstacles may make us reconsider the choices we have made, and they may make us wish to stop and abandon our dreams. In such moments, if we can manage to find again the strength necessary to keep fighting until the end, anything will become possible. The third and last word is authenticity. If we remain true to ourselves and to the people we care about, I am sure we will realize our destinies and fill our lives with joy and meaning. In one of his novels, a French writer, Victor Hugo, has one of his characters declare, and I quote, "After all, what do I care about the storm if I possess a compass? And what can events do to me if I have my own conscience?" Today more than ever, I feel like we should take care of our consciences and endeavor to stay as true as possible to ourselves. Class of 2020 and class of 2021, I could not be more impatient to see all the great things we will do from tomorrow on. I am so excited at the thought of the encouragement and the inspiration you will provide me and all your loved ones with your successes. I promise I will give my best to do the same for you. Before concluding, I'd like to share a quote from a man called Daisaku Ikeda. Speaking to the youth of the 21st century, to you, this educator and Buddhist philosopher once said, and I quote, "Of what use is intelligence if you refuse to fight against injustices? Of what use is knowledge if you do not protect ordinary people? Of what use is youth if you do not utilize it to become stronger and forge yourself as a human being?" Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Giacomo, for your words. Before I say my final sentences of introduction, I would like to part with a consideration. I've been president since 2005, and I've seen so many things at John Cabot University. But this commencement has touched me very deeply, because I think it really symbolizes what makes John Cabot University great and strong. Thank you. I now invite our great Vice President, Dean Mary Merva, to the podium to introduce the conferring of degrees by our academic department chairs to a class of 2020 and class of 2021.
President Pavoncello, on behalf of the university faculty, I certify these candidates for the degrees of Master of Arts in Art History, Bachelor of Arts in Art History, Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration, Bachelor of Arts in Classical Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Communications, Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Finance, Bachelor of Arts in English Literature, Bachelor of Arts in History, Bachelor of Arts in Humanistic Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Italian Studies, Bachelor of Arts in International Affairs, Bachelor of Arts in International Business, Bachelor of Arts in Marketing, Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, and Associate of Arts. And recommend that those degrees now be conferred by major by our distinguished departments chairs in each location. You will find the links to the streaming for each major in the John Cabot University webpage under the heading Commencement. We invite all students to remain seated so we can begin promptly. Thank you.
We must interrupt the event for a few minutes to allow our technical team to switch the broadcast prior to the conferral of degrees for the Political Science and International Affairs Department. Thank you for your patience. Please remain in your